Good morning. Thank you for coming to this very special Czech semester presentation, and happy to have you here on a beautiful Friday. Before I introduce our guest speaker, I wanted to acknowledge two old friends of mine, Dr. David Adams and Dr. Meredith Adams, right here. They are both retired professors from the Missouri State History Department. And for the last 17 years, they have been coming to at least one theme semester event every fall, making the drive over from Springfield. So glad to have you again today, David and Meredith. So this is the Czech semester, made possible because we have a partnership with the University of Hradec Králové in the Czech Republic. This partnership has only existed since 2018, but we've already accomplished quite a bit in a short amount of time. And our key contact person there, Dr. Zdeněk Beran, helped coordinate the Czech semester. We have 9 different faculty from the University of Hradec Králové speaking to us, most of them by teams, but a couple of them in person. This weekend, we have 13 students arriving from the University of Hradec Králové for a week, and then 2 other faculty. But today's speaker arrived a week ago with his son, 11-year-old son. Dr. Zdeněk Beran is an associate professor of history and director of the Institute of History at the University of Hradec Králové. He received his PhD from the University of Hradec Králové in the field of Czech and Czechoslovak history. In his research, he focuses on Central Europe in the late medieval and early modern periods, with a special focus on nobility, peacekeeping, and the rise of the modern state. On Tuesday evening, he will be introducing the Czech film, The Elementary School, at 7 o'clock over in Cornell Auditorium in Plaster Hall. And then a week from today, he'll be back 10 o'clock for another presentation on contrasting U.S. and Czech culture and history. So please give a warm Missouri Southern welcome to Dr. Zdeněk Beran.
Thank you very much for introducing me, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a really great pleasure and honor for me to talk here about our tiny country, but I hope you will find our not such a big country as yours, but I hope beautiful country interesting. You don't need to be afraid that my English won't be imperfect too much because I've my written notes, so I hope we will understand each other quite well. Yes, I'm really proud to be a part of the organizing team of the current Czech semester. I think it's something great. And I'm absolutely aware many of you don't know much about our country, and it's okay. I don't blame you. There are several facts I must respect. The distance between our 2 countries is around 5,000 miles. Czechia is, Czech Republic or Czechia is how many times you guess it's smaller than the USA? I had to count it, and it's 25 times smaller. So yeah, compared to the US, it's really quite tiny. We have only around 10 million inhabitants in our country. And what is probably the most important reason for the last decades, that we used to be part of the communist Eastern Soviet communist bloc until the year 1989. I hope a lot of things changed during the last 30 years, but still, you know, memory is something more without motion. So sometimes it's on Western countries, it's kept in their memory, like Czechs, those are something like Soviets, or what is that? I don't blame you, it's okay. So where actually our country is? The year 1989 brought many new experiences to our country, and I hope you will have an opportunity to see the reality of life in communist Czechoslovakia, which was our former state before the velvet divorce of Czechs and Slovaks in 1993. So I hope you will have a lot of opportunities to look at the reality of our life during communism in the film festival. However, it is important to realize the power of the spirit of freedom which came to our country in the 1990s and how successfully the whole Eastern and Eastern Central Europe became democratic and free societies. Those were our moments of glory, 1990s. Everyone was looking at East Central Europe. The eyes of the whole world watched us, but we must honestly say and admit that those times are over and our part of Europe was overshadowed with other more progressive parts of the world. These days, and I must say very, very unfortunately, the attention of the West is back again. I'm talking about the Ukraine crisis, which strengthened our transatlantic ties and put Czechia not far away from the neuralgic point of the present events. But don't be scared, we are not neighboring country with Ukraine. Look at the map. There you see Ukraine, there is Czechia, our brothers Slovakia, and Germany. It is vital for the whole micro-region to say and prove again that there always existed culture-rich societies and states between Germany and Russia. Yeah, the whole East Central Europe is the region between great Germany and great and dangerous Russian state. For our republic, it is a big honor and a responsibility to preside over the Council of the whole European Union nowadays and during these difficult times. Our security guarantees are based on our NATO membership. Therefore, I hope I can freely invite you to visit our beautiful country. And as I wrote in the abstract of this lecture, students and faculty of the MSSU are invited to experience Czechia either in person or virtually. And that is something I would like to focus on today, to show you a little bit, to taste a little bit of Czechia. This presentation will provide all those planning to visit our country with a basic orientation in geography, cultural heritage, but it is also offered for all those who will not travel but would like to experience Franz Kafka's town, visit Gothic cathedrals in our country, or picturesque spa towns, or admire unique art collections collected in our cities. I hope I will show you how to experience some of the main cultural sites as our capital Prague, my hometown. Oh, sorry, I forgot it. Microphone is here. My hometown, Kutná Hora, the most famous castle of our country, Karlštejn, and access the online collections of such institutions as the National Gallery in Prague. We will virtually walk in the era of Prague Castle and other projects opening Czech cultural heritage to a worldwide audience. So something really brief about our history. Our statehood began in the late 9th century with the dynasty of Přemyslit princes. Yes, that's really something typical for Czechs. We are the only nation in the whole world. We say something really terrible for anyone else. It's R sound. So our original dynasty was called Přemyslit. Bohemian Principality became kingdom in the early 13th century, and it received a very special status inside the whole Holy Roman Empire. It became its most powerful part with a considerable amount of independence. Our kings married wives from the main European dynasties, and Bohemian kings from the Luxembourg dynasty joined in their hands both crowns, Bohemian and Imperial from the Holy Roman Empire. Our capital, Prague, became several times the capital of the whole empire. Turbulent times came in our country with the so-called Hasides, a religious group named after university master and preacher Jan Hus, or sometimes you may say John Huss. Jan Hus ignited in our country the first revolution and first reformation in the whole Europe. It was 100 years before Martin Luther came. And our preacher Jan Hus preached some of similar ideas compared to Luther. 200 years of religious tension and struggles between land estates and the monarch were resolved at the Battle of the White Mountain. That's the important point of our history. Battle at the White Mountain near Prague. Nowadays it's part of Prague. In 1620. Bohemian Protestant estates were defeated. Bohemian state melted away in the Habsburg Empire, and Catholicism was imposed as the only legal religion. Maybe, it's a speculation, but maybe. That's why there is a vast majority of atheists in our country, because like religion lost its validity, reliability, because there was imposal of Catholicism on the whole population. However, the ideas of the national revival were never fully silenced. The revival process proceeded during the 19th century with the result of an independent Czechoslovak republic founded after the First World War in the year 1918. The 20 years of freedom and democracy between years 1918 to 1938, we call this period in our history as the First Czechoslovak Republic. It represents a very important reference point for contemporary Czechia, for us, for contemporary Czechs. It was like our first state kind of ideal. But the 20th century brought also many difficulties to our nation, and again, being honest, maybe we Czechs are still looking a little bit for our self-confidence. As a small nation, we tend to see ourselves as victims and only passive spectators of events around us. I think that should be changed somehow. Just a reminder of a couple of our national traumas. Year 1938. For Czech history, we will label it or call it a betrayal of Western powers at the Munich conference, resulting in loss of our borderland and ability to protect our country against Nazi Germany. During years 1939 to 1945, those were the years of German occupation. From the year 1948 on, communist coup with strong support from Moscow changed our country into unfree land under the patronage of Moscow. But let's be honest, in the year 1948, many Czechs voted for Communist Party voluntarily. It was something cool those days. New hopes came or occurred in the year 1968. A reform process called Prague Spring was forcibly stopped by invading tanks of Warsaw Pact members, mostly by Soviet tanks, of course. But maybe our history in the last decades is not that much sad or demotivating. I think we can find there two unprecedentedly successful events. The Velvet Revolution in 1988 and 89, which was a non-violent process ending the communist regime in our country. Yeah, it wasn't in the whole former communist bloc the same. You know about bloodshed in Romania, problems in Yugoslavia, and so on. So I think this was a real success of our history. And the year 1993, we call it the Velvet Divorce, so split of our country, former Czechoslovakia. Many of you will remember our country more as Czechoslovakia, but nowadays we have to speak about Czechia and smaller part Slovakia. We understand almost, I think, 98% of each other's language with Slovaks. We are really like brother nations. And I think this so-called Velvet Divorce saved us from the Yugoslavia scenario. So if we admit the right for independent existence to Eastern European countries, it brings Czechia almost to the center of the Europe. If we say that Europe ends somewhere over here on the former borders of NATO, yeah, of course we will be put somewhere in the very eastern parts of Europe. But yeah, maybe that's the issue for a broader discussion. What is it Central Europe? What is it Eastern Europe? From our country, you can easily reach our neighboring countries, Germany, Poland, Austria, or our brother or sister nation, Slovakia. The whole micro region has dense highway, maybe not that dense as your state, and railway routes. I think we have more railways than you have. And I think quite developed and compared to yours, very cheap system of public transport connecting almost every village. And yeah, what is interesting for me, we have a lot of sidewalks in our country, so we are used very much to walk all the day. Czechia consists of 3 historical lands. The biggest part is called Bohemia. It's after the former Celtic tribe called Boii. So we adopted this name from original Celtic tribe, which lived in our territory. The second part is Moravia, is the eastern part. So, oh, it's too tiny, or maybe here. This is Czechia, here, this is Moravia, and the smaller part is called, the smallest part is called Silesia, but the main part of Silesia currently belongs to Poland. Our national flag is the same as the flag of former Czechoslovakia. It consists of 2 equal horizontal bands of white on the top and red with a blue isosceles triangle based on the hoist side. Red-white bicolor are traditional colors of the Bohemia. Blue triangle symbolizes Moravia. Let's look at our coat of arms. In our quartered national coat of arms, we find 2 symbols of the former Kingdom of Bohemia. Silver lion in red field, so we are also lions. Then there is Moravian checkered eagle and the black eagle of Silesia. Czechia has a very special geographical form because it is surrounded by mountains from all sides. It's like very natural keep in center of Europe. The highest peak is Sněžka mountain, 1,602 meters above the sea level, and that's the mountain in so-called giant mountains in north of our country. In these giant mountains, also very important European river Elbe, you will know this German name, Elbe River springs. But let's look at several pictures. Prague. Prague is our capital and always had a central position in our country. There is the main industry, main commerce. It has around 1.3 million inhabitants, making it the 13th largest city in the whole European Union. Compared to the rest of our republic, there are pretty high prices for accommodation, but also people who work in Prague have higher salaries than in the rest of republic. It has been the unquestionable center of the state since its very beginnings. That is why a lot of medieval and early modern sightseeings are located there. And even during the Habsburg reign, it was still one of the main imperial cities. So there you can trace important European historical and cultural sites back to the medieval period up to the modern times. Thanks to my colleague, a teacher of the history of arts, Dr. Zaruba, another strange name for you, my colleague from my department, I will show you pictures which are not taken from Google Images Bank, but are quite original. I hope you will be able to admire beauties of our cities there. On the first picture, you see the Castle District. This huge area with central St. Vitus Cathedral. The seat of Czech President and Archbishop of Prague are nearby, but secular and spiritual powers are completely separated, of course. We don't live in the Habsburg Empire anymore. The other picture on the right is aimed similarly to the Castle District on the top of the hill with a high church at the old town square. So there is a St. Vitus Cathedral, and this is the core of Prague, former so-called Old Town Prague. If you look carefully, you will see many more Gothic towers and Baroque domes as well. We usually call our capital as having more than 100 of towers. Maybe the most famous image of Prague, well known from our postcards, stamps, and so on, is a view over the Vltava River or Moldau River. It's a tributary of the Elbe. And there you see a famous Charles Bridge, Gothic Charles Bridge, really made in the half of the 14th century. There you can see also the Castle District with the Gothic Cathedral and many towers of several churches. There is Gothic Cathedral of St. Vitus, but also towers of Romanesque, older Romanesque basilic in our castle district. But I can take you to our castle directly. I hope it will work. And I have no problem with sharing this presentation with you. So if you would like to come here again once more, you can do it. So Prague Castle, you can click on virtual tour. It's not able to maximize it, but it doesn't, never mind. So, and you can continue your way. This is the first courtyard. And I hope everyone who is going to the Czech Republic in December will see it by his or her own eyes. There is a beautiful view from Castle District to Prague, but we will walk further. And now you see the whole city with Baroque domes, towers, and so on and so on. So you can use this website. Yes, this is our St. Vitus Cathedral. We could be talking about it the whole hour. So only for your basic orientation, you can try this, visit this site. Yeah, let's go to another picture. We are still in Prague, and this is a view of the historical buildings with the church in the old town square. So that was the economical commerce center in Prague from the Middle Ages. There are several pictures from different periods of year. So I think spirit of our capital doesn't disappear even in winter. Only the town looks more melancholic. Yeah, we have lower temperatures right now in Czech Republic. It's raining there. I wish you so here. And there is another beautiful, huge building, which is a monastery, Premonstrate monastery called Strahov. It's not important. So there are also a lot of monasteries. Not all of them were destroyed by Hussite revolutionary movement. Yeah, so not only Gothic art, but also Baroque. A lot of what you will see in the city is medieval, but Baroque art is also strongly present, and many unusual visual surprises awaits you there. As for example, a church, and I'm talking about oh, maybe I will use this. About this church is something really strange. What it could be? It was built in the late 1920s, inspired by old Christian and ancient patterns and designed by famous Slovene architect Plečnik. So it's something very unique. So there are a lot of surprises. You will await Gothic, you will await Baroque, but there are also a lot of completely different things. Many expositions of our National Gallery are located in Prague and offering different styles of art. You only have to choose whether you prefer Impressionist, Asian art, Gothic paintings. And for your better decision, you can use this National Gallery Prague tool. It works, you can try it as well. National Gallery Prague. And it depends only on your preferences. So I suggest to try permanent exhibitions. Yeah, maybe you are interested in the first Czechoslovak Republic. And there are several digitalized paintings. So I know this is not Czech art. I'm sure you know what is that, but medieval art in Bohemia during the Middle Ages. There are also a lot of images. Yeah. So Gothic painting was not only made in Germany or France, but also in East Central Europe. So you are welcome to check it out. Our government supports our regions because there is a really strong center in Prague, but regions are supported with infrastructure and employment opportunities. In every region, a university is located to attract educated people there. University of Hradec Králové, which I'm representing here, is located in the eastern Bohemian city of Hradec Králové. So you will arrive here, there is our airport, spend few days in Prague, and then travel eastwards to Hradec Králové. It means, it could be translated like Queen's Castle. The meaning of the town is that. And majority of our trips will be planned in this eastern Bohemian region. I will show you something. Hradec Králové is usually called the Salon of the Republic or Metropolis of Eastern Bohemia. Little less than 100,000 inhabitants live there. Hradec has the second highest prices for flats and houses after Prague. It's a very expensive city. I think it's due to its very friendly and healthy conditions. There are a lot of parks, cycling routes, and opportunities for culture and sport. 3 universities are located in the town, so we have to compete. But historically, Hradec has always been one of the biggest Bohemian towns near the important route from Prague to Poland and further east. It was also the most important royal dowry town, belonging directly to Queens of Bohemia. The main cathedral of the Holy Spirit reminds us of Baltic Gothic style, which uses bricks instead of stones. So yeah, this is the Cathedral of the Holy Spirit. But let's move further, and this is my hometown. If I told you Prague and Hradec Králové are beautiful cities, they are still overshadowed by one another in my mind. Kutná Hora. I must say it because as a resident, I had to say that. Nowadays, a little bit sleepy and provincial town, which wakes up as first buses brings tourists from Prague, but it used to be the second largest city in medieval Bohemia. The secret of the Central European Klondike was silver. Look at the city coat of arms. What do you think it could mean? But don't be fooled with the medieval picturesque facade. If you want to imagine the medieval look of my hometown, you really have to remember all the cruelty, deviousness, and savagery of a gold rush, really similarly to Klondike in here. Streets in the old town of Kutná Hora look a little like they had no planning. It's absolutely different from Joplin. It grew up organically. And there is a really big concentration in such a nowadays small town. There is a huge concentration of large architecture, cathedrals. The main church, you can see it over there, St. Barbara, was built in the style of classic French Gothic cathedrals, similar to St. Vitus in Prague. The white building on the right side used to be the biggest structure in the whole town and is the Jesuit college, which represented a symbol of overall submission of proud Protestant town to Habsburg Catholic power. But fortunately, this is the past, and the relations between Catholic and non-Catholic Christians are prospering well now. We are still in Kutná Hora, so Gothic Cathedral of St. Barbara. You can find this inside. There are several chapels with different walls, different styles, different paintings. And this is something really strange. What is that? Is that Baroque or Gothic? What do you think? This is the second church with parameters of cathedral in Kutná Hora. It can't be called a cathedral because it wasn't a seat of a bishopric, but the style, architecture is completely as for cathedral. It was constructed during the Middle Ages, but it was rebuilt in a very special style of so-called Baroque Gothic, invented by Johann Santini Eichel, a Czech architect of Italian origin. So it's really something special. But let's move to another town. Maybe you are tired with medieval buildings and Baroque domes. So let's make a break visiting the most renowned spa city in our country. It's called Karlovy Vary or Karlsbad in German. It's located in western Bohemia. It was also founded very early and got its name from the Emperor Charles IV. Its architecture will bring you to the late 19th and early 20th centuries with a ruling neoclassical spirit. The town is well known with a world-renowned film festival organized every summer. Leonardo DiCaprio, Scarlett Johansson, Michael Douglas, Robert Redford, Richard Gere, Sharon Stone, Jude Law, and other Hollywood top celebrities have visited this festival. And another Charles, that was Karlovy, like Charles Spa. This is Charles Stone, Karlštejn. So always, or quite often, we hear the name Charles. It's because the Charles IV was maybe the most important ruler of Bohemia. Yeah, that's our last trip to the Middle Ages for today, and it's the Imperial Castle Karlštejn. Founded in the half of the 14th century by Charles IV as a safekeeping of the imperial regalia and Bohemian crown jewels. It hides another very special jewel inside. Look at this. This is something like Sainte-Chapelle in Paris for Bohemia. It's called Chapel of the Holy Cross, the most sacred place for the royal idea, used for hiding the most sacred relics behind famous panel paintings of Master Theodoric. So behind every painting there is a hidden relic of each saint. And yeah, there are small glass circles or globes representing a starry sky. So symbolic of heavenly Jerusalem, we can see there. And this is our small Windsor Castle in Bohemia. Yeah, and this is really in southern Czechia. It's called Hluboká Castle. It was constructed in the neo-Gothic style by important Schwarzenberg family, princely family, to be really reminiscent of the Windsor Castle. And our last visit for today is something from the eastern Bohemia, Hospital Kux, and who is coming to Czechia in December, we will visit it together. Hospital Kux was constructed thanks to the idea of Count Franz Anton von Spork to change a village, usual village, into a world-renowned spa and hospital for army veterans. Currently, the hospital building has been used as a museum of Baroque art and Czech pharmacy, so it's also interesting to see how medieval and early modern pharmacy looked like. And several more invitations for you. If you would like to explore something more, you can try Virtual Czech website, but I'm sorry, it's in Czech, but it will be clear to you if you know something interesting, monastery in Bromov or other important sightseeings, you can try it. Or another platform is 3D Česko. It's Czech translation of Czechia, 3D Česko. I have no idea why there is MiG-29 here. Maybe we used to have it in our air forces several years ago. Now we have, I think our Czech air forces consist of 20 Gripen fighters, not much a strong force. But maybe a memory on Soviet era. But a lot of castles, a lot of, for example, Přimda, one of our oldest castle, you can click on that, and there are beautiful three-dimensional reconstruction of medieval castles, early modern chateaus, and so on. Maybe it needs more time. We can try one castle. But never mind, if it won't work, you can try it at home if you wish. There are a lot of fans of castellology, a lot of fans of reenactment in Czechia. Oh, it will take a long time. You can, if you are interested, please try it at home. So 3D Česko, or this application, it's for cell phones. It's called Visit More. I think it's based on cooperation of a Czech company with one American, very good, renowned IT company. So you can use it on your cell phone, and it's like extended reality, or what's the real name? Sorry, I'm a historian. I'm not a specialist in IT. So that's from my side. Virtual Czech 3D Česko, or Visit More. You can pre-visit some interesting sites before you go there. And yeah, several more pictures, because we need a whole day, but you will be bored. Sorry, I won't take your time. There are so many very special places, very special sightseeing. So a lot of castles. Some of them look like from a fairy tale. Some are more like non-repaired, waiting for the reparation. Something very special from a Baroque style, Romanesque buildings, and not only Prague, not only Hradec Králové, not only Kutná Hora, but also another medieval towns, because almost our city has got its medieval center. So it's very interesting to reconstruct, to work on reconstructional maps and see how it looked like 5-6 years ago. So thank you very much for your attention. And I hope I helped a little bit to intensify your desire to visit Czechia, whether physically or online, it's up to you. But thank you very much and have a nice day.